Hi, this is Mike Cardis from Organization Development by Mike Cardis. And I'm going to walk you through an innovation tool and a model that I used recently with an executive team that contacted me to help them to begin to identify future steps and future processes to ensure that when folks return back to work at 100% and the organization is back to full work mode, they capture the learnings, the skill sets, and can tap upon the past things they've learned to create new future scenarios of emergence, new ideas and processes, capture what's working well to increase, and what's not working well to decrease. So I'm going to go into my shared screen and share with you the first model we used. So this first model we used is something called 9 Windows. 9 Windows is an innovation and thinking tool that comes from trees. Trees is a theory of inventive problem solving. It's helpful for beginning to think through and identify where your current operation or challenge is and defining things in the past and the future to look at learnings and to identify new innovative ways to break things up. So a quick overview. What you'll see here is we have 9 different boxes. That's why it's called 9 Windows. Each window is a glimpse into a different part of the problem or the system from multiple perspectives. We know that from innovation or solving wicked problems, we have to have multiple perspectives from different angles to identify how to best solve the problem. Additionally, we want to avoid identifying steps or actions too early on in the process. If we choose things too early on, we tend to coalesce or gather those ideas too fast, and it locks our thinking up. So to begin with, you'll start here, and here's a breakdown of the process. This middle layer here is called the system. The system is the current operation or structure you're looking to solve or the problem you're looking to put in place. The super system are things that are above or sort of meta to that system. So for example, when we're looking at the work from home changes, our system was the current structures of IT, operations, and management. What were those current systems in place? And the super systems were the organizational policy and procedures, the government constraints, the state constraints, other customer constraints. So super systems are the things that are above the system that impact it, that you may have very little feedback on or control over, but they're things that still impact your work. The lower process here are called the subsystems, and these are the parts that are impacted from the existing system. So think about computers, software, frontline staff potentially, individuals. The subsystems are the small granular parts that feed into the system. That creates an entire organization or operational structure. Additionally, you break the 9 windows into the past, into the current state or the present, and the future. When you're setting the timelines, you need to be thoughtful about how far back in the past you want to go. Some teams look back a day, some teams look back a year. It's defining in your own context what's appropriate. And also in the future, you have to figure out how far into the future you want to go, future process. When you're beginning this process of using 9 windows to break your inertia or come through your thinking, the best sequence is to start with the system or problem in the present state. So you would write down what's our current problem we're dealing with, or what's the system we want to improve, or in the current state, what is the improvement that we want to look at or make improvements to or change or make better. From that, you then define from your current system or problem you want to focus on. You then identify in the super system what presently is impacting this larger system. What government regulations, what organizational culture things do we have, what models and assumptions are we making that are influencing our operation. And then from that part, the next step is you look at the subsystem. What small parts are impacting us up or down, or what small granular pieces are impacting the system itself. Once you get the present all filled out and you have multiple ideas inside here, you then will go into the past. it's incredibly important to start in the future and then go into the past. By going into the past system, super system, and subsystems, you're seeking to identify what worked well, what were challenges we ran into in the past, how did we deal with chaos and complexity in the past, what things are currently impacting our future that we want to amplify or dampen, and how did those things come to be. Once you have the present complete in the super system, system, and subsystem, and the past complete in the super system, system, and subsystem, then you look into the future. With the future, you're trying to identify, if we're going forward in this future place, what systems, improvements, or challenges do we have to have here to ensure we can get things done? What are our ideas to make things better? You can create what we call a utopian or a best case solution and a dystopian or a worst case process. Either way, you're trying to work through the team and work with your own thinking to not get stuck in the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is when you're like a spotlight narrowing so much on your current challenge and your current system that you forget there's a whole interoperational piece around you. Additionally, you have team members who are also interoperably working with you. As you begin to define these areas, one thing that we oftentimes do once we clarify the examples is we drop them into the solutions bank. And we call it a solutions bank mainly because what you're doing is you're identifying what solutions are there. So as you create the future state and you're identifying what sort of things you want to amplify or increase to make the future more attractive or increase trust or change your processes, and what things you want to decrease or dampen as you're moving forward, you would place those ideas into these solution lines here and then score them in this matrix for doable. Can we get them done? Are they doable? Impactful? How much impact will they have? And helpful? If we do these things, will it be helpful? Also listing barriers and successes. As you begin to go through solutions, talk about the ideas and develop discussion points to create some clarity around these, you will start to see emergence happens, meaning your team is creating new ideas, they're creating spontaneous interactions, they're developing stronger alignment, and you're seeing teamwork and teaming happen. This is happening because you slowed the process down. You created a process for them to talk through their innovation and their ideas, and you created sufficient structure for them to be creative on top of their ideas. I'm going to stop this shared screen now. Now I'm going to go into an actual example that we utilized with a company to develop this and show you how we actually completed this. This here is what I did with an executive team last week. Last week with the leadership team, we were looking at what the work from home changes will be based upon COVID-19. So I'm going to make this a little larger and share how we structured this. We structured it a little different. So you'll see in their process, what we did was we actually broke the process a little different. So we looked at today being right now or today, the current state of the organization. And then we looked at yesterday. Yesterday was defined as the organizational operation for work from home. What is a work from home processes or procedures we had in place prior to COVID-19? And then we begin to identify tomorrow. What do we want to see different tomorrow or in the future once people are back to work? And then additionally, you'll see that we structured the wording a little different from system, super system, subsystem. We identify the ecosystem, which is the larger environmental piece that was impacting the organization. Ecosystem was government regulations, organizational policy and procedures, history and artifacts of the organization. Then the next part we clarified, larger, was how people in the past learned work from home and telework, how people used work from home and telework, and the past again was defined as before COVID-19, and how they remembered work at home and telework. Then at the bottom, we created market potential. So as opposed to the subsystem, we identified what market potential was there and what market potential may exist as we move forward. And you'll see from the structure, we have the same thing. So then we had today, ecosystem, how people learned, used, and remembered the process. And then we have market potential. I'll show you a different view now to give you a closer look on this. So as you can see, yesterday, ecosystem, the team, and there was there was 6 executive team members that all on a virtual call, a virtual meeting with me, we use this software to have them give feedback, and they completed these post-it notes online, and then we drop them into the areas and discuss through the process. So you see, yesterday, here was the ecosystem. Yesterday, how did people learn to do work from home and telework? How they use work at home and telework? What do they remember? What do they remember people felt about it? How did it look? What was the feelings? In the how people learn, use, and remember, this group I've been working with for several years now, and we've done a lot of employee experience feedback. We saw the employee experience or narratives of how folks actually experienced the work came through in this process. Market potential in the past. Then we went into today, what the current ecosystem looks like, the changes, what's working, what's not working, amplify and dampen. We went into how people learn, how they're currently using work at home, check-ins, virtual meetings, a lot of Microsoft Teams, how they remember and how they think folks are going to remember the current changes and how they got through this. And then market potential, meaning in the current process, what potential opportunities are they seeing in the market to grow and increase their organization and enhance their teamwork and staff retention and talent retention. Going into tomorrow or the future, we frame the future as when people return back from work and we're back to 95 to 100% production of work processes. This is when the team started coming up with a lot of really good ideas. They framed in the ecosystem, larger structures, what things have to change, what can we amplify and dampen, increase and decrease in the ecosystem in the future? How will people learn in the future as opposed to the work? What changes from the past and the current will impact our future as an organization? What can we change? What parts can we capture that are emergent, that make sense? What can we use from this that we want to keep? What can we get rid of? How do we think folks will remember this new organization? And at the end, we identified a whole bunch of market potential ideas to make things work. So I hope you can see from this example how we can start working with organizations and companies like yours to better share and prepare you for the future of your organization. Because eventually people are going to go back to work. And what we know is that as change happens in companies, you need to allow for ambiguity and uncertainty to emerge and be part of the process. As you get folks together and capture their multiple perspectives, like I showed you that 9 windows process, you're better finding ideas that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. So as a leadership team or a team leader or as a professional, you need to reach out and have tools to put people in the context of what's currently going on. How does it look? What do we want to increase? What do we want to decrease? From that discussion, go back and say, in the past, when we had challenges, what did we do? How did we survive? Pull out the details. Look for descriptors. Also accept that some things were challenges in the past. From that part, begin to identify ideas that can say, in the future, what can we do? By going from current to past to future, you are creating a narrative for folks to have emergent ideas. And by emergent, I mean new things that didn't seem possible are coming out. As you hear those emergent possibilities, capture those. Take them, make them part of your future plan. As people come back to work, the more of the plan and the more they're a part of planning for their future, the greater buy-in you'll see, and also the ability for your organization to be different and better will exist. Again, thank you. I'm Mike Cardis from Organization Development by Mike Cardis.